types of numbers, guys. I want you to get a grip of this. There you can find various sources on the internet, but you are, I mean, it may sound very arrogant, okay, but this is where you find it very to understand it in an easy way. Okay, I put up things so that you can understand it in a very easy manner. Okay, so complex numbers, all numbers belong to this category. Okay, all numbers, any number you think of belongs to complex number category. Okay, now complex numbers is divided into real numbers and imaginary numbers. Guys, let's take an example. Okay, a plus ib. Okay, this is an example of a complex number. Okay, now the reason why I'm not going to talk about what is a plus ib is, I'll tell you what a plus ib is. See, this a is the real part, this ib is the imaginary part. Okay, now we don't need this. For how do you get this a? If b is 0, what do you get? This whole term will go away, right? You are left with a. Okay, so this a is the real part. Okay, real numbers. Okay, let us suppose if a is 0. If a is 0, you will be left with ib. Okay, so this is the imaginary part. Okay, so we are not worried about ib's because, guys, all the problems in aptitude, okay, are nothing but real numbers. Okay, you take any problem, we never deal with imaginary numbers. Okay, so it is a waste of time for you to concentrate on the imaginary numbers. So that is why you can see the imaginary number has ended here. There is no more sub branches under that. Can you see that? But real numbers has sub branches, because that is what we are going to concentrate on. Okay, so we concentrate on the real numbers. And real numbers, how are they divided? They are divided into rational and irrational numbers. Okay, all the real numbers that you can see are either a rational number or a irrational number. Okay, so we'll see what are rational, irrational in the next slides, but make sure that you understand that we have rational and irrational numbers. Now, rational numbers are divided into fractions and integers. Okay, and fractions are divided into proper and improper fractions. Integers have positive integers, zero, negative integers. Okay, now this positive integers and zero, they both are called whole numbers or non-negative integers, and just the positive integers are called natural numbers. All this we are going to take a deeper look in the next slides, guys. So if you want, you can take a screenshot of this. Anyway, we'll have this video. Okay, but make this is the type of numbers. Now, as I told you, a number of the form a plus ib is a complex number. When a becomes 0, this number a plus ib takes the form ib, which is an imaginary number. When b becomes 0, this number takes the form a, which is a real number. Okay, so all the problems in aptitude deal with only real numbers. So let us discard imaginary numbers and look at the real numbers in detail. So the first category of real number is rational numbers. Rational numbers is a very, I know there are many misconceptions surrounding this. Okay, because when I teach in class, students know rational numbers, they say it is whatever definition they know it, but they really don't understand what it means. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what it really means. Okay, not just giving you yes, this is rational numbers. That is what I often find. Okay, so okay, anyway, now a terminating decimal or a non-terminating decimal but repeating decimal can be classified as rational numbers, because both can be expressed in p by q format, where p and q are integers and q is not equal to 0. Okay, now if you do not understand anything, that is totally fine. Okay, now what it means is, I'll tell you this. Okay, they say there are two types of decimals. Okay, one is, I'll just go back to it. Yes, a terminating decimal or a non-terminating but repeating decimal. Okay. Now they say talk about a terminating decimal. What is a terminating decimal, guys? 0.5. Terminating, yes. 0.65. Terminating, yes. Now they also talk about one other type of number where it is non-terminating but recurring. Yes, you see that? They say non-terminating but repeating or recurring. Okay, all mean the same thing. Okay. Now it is non-terminating. Why is it non-terminating? It means like they see, look at this number 0.5555. Now this goes on like this. That is what non-terminating means. This 55555 goes on like this. People usually write it like this: 0.5 dash. Okay, this dash or bar here indicates that 5 repeats without terminating. Okay, here there is no dash, but here we have a dash because 5 repeats without terminating. Okay, so you can either put it like this or you can put it like this. Okay, now these two numbers are called rational numbers, guys. Watch this carefully. I'm going to tell you why these are called rational numbers, because see 0.65. Why is this a rational number? Okay, take this number as a. Okay, what is 100a, guys? Tell me what is 100a. 100a is equal to 65. Okay, 100a is equal to 65. What is a? A is nothing but 65 by 100. Yes. Now is it just 65 by 100? Can I not reduce it to its lowest format? Divide this by 5, you'll get 13. Divide this by 5, you'll get 20, guys. But the important thing that you can see here is a was a decimal number here. Now a is a fraction. Okay, where you are writing it in the format of p by q, where p and q are integers. Yes, guys, p and q are integers. Okay, so we'll look at what integers are. But before that, p and q are integers. Integer 13 is an integer, 20 is an integer. Okay, so we're able to express this decimal 0.65 in terms of 13 by 20, where p and q, it is not decimal. This is not decimal. This is not decimal. These are integers, right? If you are able to do it, then this is a rational number. Okay, so 0.65 is a rational number. 13 by 20 is a rational number. Okay, so that is why they said if it is terminating decimal, then it is a rational number, because you can change it into this format. Okay, the only consideration is this should not be 0, guys. That is the only thing you have to look uh, carefully when you are looking at rational numbers. In rational numbers, the denominator should never be 0. The numerator can be 0. Okay, no problem. Okay, this can be 0, but the denominator should never be 0. Okay, in rational numbers. Okay, so we look at more examples so that you will get a better understanding of what I am trying to say. Now we'll take one more example of 0.65 65 dot dot dot. It means it goes on like this. Okay, guys, how do we write this? We can write it like 0.65 dash. Okay, because 65 repeats, keeps on repeating. Now, how do you convert this number into p by q format? Okay, they've told you here, right? You remember a terminating decimal 0.65 was a terminating decimal, or a non-terminating but repeating decimal. Okay, so this is a non-terminating but repeating decimal, correct? This is not terminating but repeating 65656565. Okay, so this is also a rational number. So I should be able to write this in p by q format for you to understand that this can be done. Okay, So let's see how I write it. Okay, now the way I write it is, guys, I must convert this a into some fractional format. Okay, multiply this a by 100. What do you get? 100 a. But over here, what do you get? 65.65, right? Here you get 65.65. It is not only just 65.65, then also you will have a 65, and again you will have a 65, and it will go on like this, right? Yes, guys. A is 0.656565. 100 A is 65.656565. Now what you do is subtract this and this. 100A minus A, what is 100A minus A? 99A. Yes, 99A. Now when you subtract 65.65656565, 0.65656565, can I say this and this will get cancelled? When you subtract this from this, okay, here you subtracted A from 100A. Here you are subtracting 0.656565 from 65.6565. So this and this will get cancelled. You will be left with 65. Yes, right, guys. So what is A now? A is equal to 65 by 99. Okay, guys, do we have the format that we are looking for? Yes, this is the rational number format, P by Q, where Q is not equal to 0, and it satisfies, right? So A initially was like this. I've written it in P by Q common. So this is also a rational number. Okay, but what is an irrational number? Okay, so we'll see what an irrational number is. These are rational numbers. Okay, a terminating decimal or a non-terminating but repeating decimal can be classified as rational numbers because both can be expressed in P by Q format, where P and Q are integers and Q is not equal to 0. So that is what I told you. So we look at what is an irrational number. Okay, a non-terminating and non-repeating decimal can be classified as an irrational number because it cannot be expressed in P by Q format, where P and Q are in integers and Q is not equal to 0. Okay, just concentrate on this case, non-terminating, non-repeating decimal. Okay, so I'm going to give you those decimals. Okay, where do we find these decimals? Non-terminating and non-repeating decimals. Yes, we'll find it. Okay, now let's take 6, 5, 6, 5, 7, 3, 1, 4, 8, 6, 5, 1, 2, and it goes on like this, guys. Because it goes on like this is non-terminating. But do you see anything repeating here? What does repeating mean? It's some pattern must repeat. For example, 6565 should repeat, or 656573, 656573. Like that, something should repeat again and again. Okay, so that is what I mean when I say there is nothing is repeating here. Okay, so here this not repeating. Okay, so how do we express this in P by Q format? It is impossible to express this in P by Q format because you take this to be A. You need, for you to get rid of this decimal, okay, even if you multiply it with 100, or let's say 1000, multiply it with 10,000. 10,000 A is equal to 6565.73 1, 4, 8, 6, 1, 2. Okay, this is 1000A. Okay, so see, decimal point is here. Okay, so this is where my decimal point is. Okay. Now, after the decimal point, look at this. It is 73148612. But here, after the decimal point, is 6565. How can you subtract this and this? Only if you are able to successfully subtract or cancel these two. In the previous example, we were able to cancel this and this because it was repeating. But here, you cannot cancel it. Okay. So that is the reason why, because you cannot cancel it, there will always be something after the decimal point. Okay. For example, this will be like 1000 A is equal to 6 5. You subtract this from this, what you get is 65.6565, and it will go on, it will continue. Okay, so because of this reason you cannot take this 1000 downwards, because you've not gotten rid of the decimal point. Okay, when you not gotten rid of the decimal point, it is not possible for you to write this in p by q format. Okay, so these are what we call as irrational numbers. Okay, these are what we call as irrational numbers. They are irrational, they are not rational. Okay, you cannot put it in p by q format. Okay, and examples for it, usually pi and all the root values are of this kind: root 2, root 3, root 4. All these are irrational numbers. Okay, and I guess root 2 was the first irrational number that they found out. Okay, and this is also called as a Pythagorean constant. We know Pythagoras theorem, but how many of you know about Pythagorean constant? Root 2 is the Pythagorean constant. Okay, that because that was the first irrational number discovered. Anyway, so we'll move on. Proper fractions. Okay, guys, improper fractions. I need to tell you this. This is very important. Let's take 1 by 2. Is this a proper fraction or an improper fraction? 2 by 1. Is this a proper fraction or improper fraction? This is a proper fraction. Okay. This is an improper fraction. The reason is, if something has to be a proper fraction, it should lie between 0 and 1. Okay. Half lies between 0 and 1. Yes. So it is a proper fraction. Does 2 by 1 lie between 0 and 1? No, right? If something lies between 0 and 1, we say it is improper fraction. If it doesn't do that, improper fraction. Okay, usually, always, not usually, in proper fraction, this numerator will be less than the denominator. But look at this. Here, the numerator is greater than the denominator. Okay, so in improper fraction, numerator will be greater than the denominator. In proper fraction, numerator will be less than the denominator. So that's about it, guys. So the proper fraction, improper fraction, just have to know that. And you can go through these examples. Okay, now whole numbers, all the positive numbers that come under the whole numbers category. Okay, there is something missing here. Whole numbers is nothing but 0 and all the positive numbers that come under the whole numbers category. Okay, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on are called whole numbers. Okay, so 0 and all positive integers come under the whole number category. Natural numbers are the positive integers. Okay, so from if you start from here, you call it natural numbers. It is also called counting numbers. Even numbers, you know what are even numbers? If it is divisible by 2, it is even. If it is not divisible by 2, it is odd. Prime numbers, guys, I want you to understand. Okay, prime numbers, where does prime number start from? What is the first prime number? The first prime number is 2. Okay, it is not 1. The reason is, 1 is neither prime nor composite. Okay, 1 is not a prime number, composite number. Why? I'll tell you. What is 4? This is prime, this is composite, right? this is prime, this is composite. Why is it a prime? Because the number of factors for prime will be 2 always. But look at this, how many factors does a composite number have? It is not 2, right? It is more than 2. Okay, when the number of factors is equal to 2, it is a prime number. When the number of factors is greater than 2, it is a composite number. Now let's take 1. How many factors does 1 have? Just 1, right? For 1, the number of factors is 1. Now, it should be 2 for it to be a prime number. It should be greater than 2 for it to be a composite number. Because it has only one factor, it doesn't come under this category and also this category. Okay, this category also it doesn't come under. This category also it misses. Okay, that is why 1 is neither prime nor composite. Okay, so these are all the numbers from 1 to 50. I have given you all the prime numbers. We have 15 prime numbers. From 15 to 100 we have 10 prime numbers. Make sure that you learn this by heart. This will help you while doing calculations very quickly. Okay, so and numbers which have only two factors, one in itself, are called prime numbers. Okay, now composite numbers are numbers which are more than two factors. Okay, so from 1 to 50 we have 35 composite numbers. Okay, now this is where there is a mistake. It is not 35, it is actually 34. Okay, I really need to talk to these people who make these slides. Because, guys, tell me, why is it 34 and not 35? Because in 1 to 50, how many numbers we have? 50 numbers. In that, how many prime numbers we have? We have 15 prime numbers. And we have 34 composite numbers. And that remaining one number, what is that? That remaining one number is nothing but 1. Okay, the remaining one number is nothing but 1. This 1 won't come in composite category, it also won't come in prime category. Okay, so you have actually 34 composite numbers from 1 to 50 and 15 prime numbers and one number which is neither prime nor composite. This is what we call as unity. Okay, like prime and composite, unity is a separate category, and in that category there is only one number which is 1. Okay, so again, here we don't have 40, we have 39 composite numbers. Sorry, here we have 40 because it is not, it's starting from 50, right? So here we'll have 40. Okay, so there is no doubt about that. Here we'll have 40 composite numbers. Now, there are some more, the last type of numbers that you're going to see. Okay, guys, it is called perfect squares or square numbers. Okay, now perfect squares and square numbers. What is perfect squares and square numbers? Powers are multiples of 2. If you find the powers are multiples of 2, they are perfect squares or square numbers. For example, 5 into 5 is 5 square, right? So this is 5 square. So this is a perfect square or square number. This is 5 power 4. This is a perfect square or a square number. This is 5 power 6. 6. 5 power 6. This is a perfect square or square number. Okay. Why do I say this as perfect square? Okay, powers of multiples of 2. Okay. Here, I think there is a mistake, guys. Sorry, again, there is a mistake here. Okay, 1 minute, just a minute. Now, here it is 5 power 6, right? This is not a square number. What is this? This is a cube number. Okay. Powers of multiples of 2. What it means is 5 square, 5 power 4, okay, 5 power 8. Okay, now that is a square number. 5 power 16. Okay, so the power should go like that. Here it is 5 power 6, so this is not a square number. Okay, so this is a square number, this is a square number. 5 power 8 is a square number. Okay, 5 power 16 is a square number. Okay, so all these are square numbers. Okay, Okay. Now here the powers of multiples of 3. Okay. So again I shouldn't say multiples of 3. I don't think it is correct. Uh, I should say 5 cube is a square number. Okay. Now 5 power 6 is not a square number. Okay, the next square number, cube number is 5 cube is a cube number, 5 power 9 is a cube number, 5 power 27 is a cube number. Okay, so all these numbers are cube numbers. Okay, so this again is not a cube number. Okay. Uh, have different types of denominators. See, when the denominators are equal, it is very easy. You just look at the numerator and decide what is small, what is large. Okay. But here, the denominators are not equal. So what you do, make it equal. Okay. Take all the denominators, take the LCM, you will get 80. Now you made everything equal. So this 63 by 80 stays as it is. 31 by 40 becomes 62 by 80. Okay. Because you're using this LCM here. Instead of 40, you are putting 80. Instead of 40, you are putting 18, 31 must become 62, right? Again, you multiply this by 5, multiply this by 5. Okay, so you're getting 65. Multiply this by 10, multiply this by 10 is 70. Now, out of this, which one is the smallest? This is the smallest. So, the answer is B. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers are prime numbers, composite numbers, positive numbers, both A and B. Guys, tell me which one will be the correct answer. Maybe you could pause the video and then come back later. Okay. Did you find the answer? 1, 2, 3, 4 are they prime numbers? No. Are they composite numbers? No. Both A and B, both prime and composite? Obviously not, because one is not prime, not composite. Okay. So what are they? They are positive numbers. Okay. So they a pie has to be divided among few kids. Punit gets 2 by 7th of the portion of the pie, and Shella gets 5 by 8th of the portion of the pie. Who amongst the two gets lesser share? Okay. This question is to check your understanding of, like, if you really understood fractions. Okay. If two fractions are given, or 4, 3, 5, any number of fractions are given, you must be able to arrange it in ascending order, arrange it in descending order. Okay. Maybe we'll see more problems in the next video. Okay, but right now you have to know what is small and what is large. Okay, see guys, when it is like this, 4 by 8, 5 by 8, now you can easily say this is greater, because the base is the same. When the base is the same, you just look at the numerator. Whatever is greater is the greater fraction. Whatever is the lesser fraction. Okay. Yes, this you guys know. Okay, or if you do not know, now know it. Now here, look at the fractions that is given. 2 by 7, 5 by 8. Now can you just compare the numerators and then make a decision? Which is smaller, which is greater? Now, yes, you have to make this equal. How do you make this equal? Take the LCM of 7 and 8. You get 56, right? The LCM of 7 and 8 is 56. 7, how many times is 56? 8 times. So 2 will become 16. Okay, again 56. 8, how many times is 56? 7 times. So 7 into 5 is 35. Now the bases are what? Equal. Okay, so here you look at the numerator. 35 is greater than 16. So this is greater than this. So this is greater than this. Okay, so who amongst the two gets the lesser share? This guy gets the lesser share. So 2 by 7 goes to Punit. So he is the answer for us. Okay. So car engine is filled, again a fraction problem to see if you understood it correctly. Car engine is filled, it's half filled and holds 15 liters of petrol. Okay, so there is 15 liters of petrol and it is half filled. Okay, What fraction of the engine is full if it contains 18 liters of petrol? So 15 liters is half filled. Okay. And what is the fraction if it is 18 liters? Okay, there are many ways of doing this. Okay. See, if it is the fraction is half, then the number of liters is 15. Okay. When the number of liters is 18, what is the fraction? That is what they are asking. So what do? You have to see if this is directly proportional or indirectly proportional. Okay. See, the fraction, does the fraction increase as the number of liters increase? For half it is 15, for quarter it will be 7.5, right? Yes, for quarter of the can filled it will be 7.5. So obviously this and this are directly proportional. Directly proportional means if I increase this, this also will increase. If I decrease this, this also will decrease. This is directly proportionate. Okay. So when you have directly proportionate stuff, okay, it is very easy to find the answer. Okay. The way you do this is just cross multiply them. Okay. Maybe take this to be x, or you can keep it as question mark. 15x is equal to 9. X is equal to 9 by 5, sorry, 9 by 15, which is nothing but 3 by 5. Okay, so for x value it is 3 by 5. Okay, so you can see option D is the correct answer. Okay, so for those of you who want a more formal explanation, this is what. So half liters is equal to 15 liters. How many liters is 18 liters? So if you know something about proportionality, what you do is you multiply these two, equate it with by multiplying these two. That is what I have done. 15 into question mark is equal to 8 into half is 9. Yes. So question mark is equal to 9 by 15, which is 3 by 5. Product of two odd numbers, guys. I don't expect you to answer this, okay, but just know that product of two odd numbers is odd, and the reason is this one. Okay, just go through all this, make sure that you have this in your fingertips. If you are very eager about or very sincere about learning numbers concepts, okay, when I say remember this, you have to remember this. Okay, because this will help you for example this problem. If you don't remember this, you'll waste 1 minute. If you remember this, you won't waste any minute. Okay, like you'll finish it off within 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, so make sure that when I say remember this, make sure that you have it by heart. Okay, that will help you and in your speed. Okay, anyway, so that's about it, guys. I know this is a very long video, but I had to give you the very basics of numbers so that we'll take it forward from here. And till the next video, it is bye bye. Okay. 0.555 as a fraction, we already seen these types of problems. Take that to be a. 1000 a is equal to 555. A will be is equal to 555 by 1000, and your final answer will be 111 by 200. Okay, I'm expressing this rational number, rational decimal, or rational number, you call it rational number, which is in the decimal format, into fractional format. Okay, so when I'm successfully able to do that, this is a rational number. Something that is in the decimal format, if I are successfully able to convert it into a fractional format, we call it rational number. Okay, that is the answer. Positional value system. Now, what is positional value system? Guys, if you are able to understand what is positional value system, then you won't have any problem in solving decimal, octal, binary, hexadecimal questions. The reason is very simple, because all these numbers are positional value system numbers. Okay, so all these belong to positional value system. Okay, now so you have to understand what does positional value system mean. Okay, so you have the meaning in the name itself. Okay, you have the meaning here, positional value. Okay, what does positional value mean? Okay, so let us see an example for it. Okay, so in a positional value system, the value of a digit depends upon its position. Okay, so it is as simple as that. So the value of this digit, here it says value, here it says positional. What it means is position determines the value. Okay, position determines the value. The position of what? Position of digits. Okay, so let's take 679 for example. Here 9 is in the units position, 7 is in the tens position, 6 is in the hundredths position, right? So that is why 9 has a value of, you can say 6 takes the value of 600, 7 takes the value of 70, 9 takes the value of 9. Now why did this take 9 and not 900? Why did 9 take the value 900? Because it is in the units position. When it is in units position, it will take the value 9. When it is in the 10th position, it will take the value 90. When it is in the hundredths position, it will take the value 900, right? So the value of 9 depends upon what? It depends upon the position in which it is located. Okay, units position, tens position, or hundredth position. So that is why we call decimal system a positional value system. Okay, not only decimal, octal, binary, hexadecimal, all these are positional value system. Okay, the value of the digit depends upon the position. Okay, now yes, the 600 came about because here, what is this? This is the digit, guys. 6 is the digit, 600 is the value. Okay, how did we arrive at the value 600? Okay, that is what we are going to see. So this depends upon the specific system that we are looking at. Okay, for example, in decimal, deci means 10. Okay, so deci means 10. So in decimal system, we have 10 symbols. Okay, we look at those 10 symbols, but we call this number to be the base of decimal system. Okay, so 10 will be the base of decimal system. Okay, so to get this value, what we'll do, because this is at the hundreds position, you will do the digit, multiply the digit into 10 square. Okay, so for you to get this 70, you'll multiply the digit into 10 power 1. For you to get the value 9, you will multiply this digit into 10 power 0. Okay, so the positional value, okay, this is the positional value of 9 is 10 power 0. The positional value of 7 is 10 power 1. The positional value of 6 is 10 square. Okay, so here you can say the positional value is 10 power 0. Here the positional value is 10 power 1. Here the positional value is 10 square. So that is why we get the value 670 and 9. This number 10, we use 10 here because the base of decimal system is 10. For example, in octal system, we'll use 8. Okay, because we have 8 symbols there. In hexadecimal system, we'll use 16. In binary system, we'll use 2. Okay, so this base decides what number goes here. Okay, so the base of a system decides what number goes here. For a decimal system, the base is 10. Okay, so I could say the base here is 10. Now here 6 is, now guys tell me, is 600 in 679? Okay, 679, 600 is the largest value, 9 is the least value. So that is why we say 6 as the most significant digit and 9 as the least significant digit. Okay, so 6 is the most significant digit because it has the most value. Okay, 9 is the least significant digit because it has the least value. Okay, now what I'm doing is I'm taking a number, these are the digits. Okay, now this is a decimal number, right? 2374.859. I just want to show you the positional values, guys. So you can see For 2 it is 10 cube, for 3 it is 10 square, for 7 it is 10 power 1, for 4 it is 10 power 0. You have a decimal point here, okay. And on the right side of the decimal point you'll have negative powers of 10, 10 power minus 1, 10 power minus 2 and 10 power minus 3. So let's see if this works or not. What we do is 2 into 2 into 10 cube is what? 2000, right? 3 into 10 square is 300, 7 into 10 is 70, 4 into 10 power 0 is 4, point. 8 into 10 power minus 1 is 0.8. This is 0.05. This is 0.09. You add everything, if you get what? You add everything, you get this. Yes. So this is how you represent the positional values of a decimal system. Okay, so because powers of 10 determine the value of each digit, this is called decimal system. Also 10 indicates the number of symbols in the decimal system. So you can see the 10 numbers. Can you see the 10 symbols from 0 to 9? Yes. Now binary system, guys, here the base is 2. Okay, here the value of each digit depends upon powers of 2. Okay, so in the previous decimal system, the positional values were powers of 10. Here it will be powers of 2. Okay, so here you can see I represented a binary value, and this 2 says is what we call a subscript. Okay, so the subscript is used to indicate which type of number this belongs to, whether this belongs to a decimal number or a binary number or octal number or a hexadecimal number. To represent that, we use this subscript. Okay, so here subscript 2 indicates it is a binary number. Here subscript 3 indicates it is a number with base 3. Okay, we don't just have 4 types of numbers. Okay, so don't assume that we'll have only binary, we'll have only decimal, we'll have only octal and hexadecimal. We'll have numbers with base 3, we'll have numbers with base 6, we'll have numbers with base 7. Okay, so this is a number with base 3. Now the term binary digit, if any of you haven't noticed this, the binary digit is usually referred to as bit. Okay, so binary digit in short is referred to as bit. Okay, so that is the reason why this we call as most significant bit and this we call as least significant bit. Okay, so this is the least significant bit, this is the most significant bit. Okay, we don't call it digit, we call it bit. Okay, because it is binary digit, right? So bit. Okay, now converting from binary to decimal. So this is a sample binary number, guys. So what you do is, see, anything if you want to convert it into decimal, you do this. Especially binary to decimal, what you do is you use the 2 power 0, 2 power 5, 2 power 1, 2 power 2, 2 power 3, 2 power 4. Why do I use 2, guys? Because this is binary to decimal. Because it is binary, the base will be 2. I told you, right? When it was decimal, the base was 10. When it is binary, base was 2. Let us suppose it was octal. Then this will be 8. This number will be 8. Okay. Because in binary, we have only 2 symbols, 0 and 1. Okay. So this 2 represents that. Okay. The binary base. Now, you understand what I'm doing here. 1 into 2 power 0, 1 into 2 power 1, 0 into 2 square, 0 into 2 cube, 0 into 2 power 4 and 0 into 2 power 5. Okay, so all these are positional values. Okay, these are the digits. So you multiply the digits in the positional values, you get the values. Okay, remember 6 into 100 gave you 600. Yes, so digit into positional value gives you the value. Okay, now so here you get 1, 2 and 32 and finally you get the 35 as the final value. So the decimal equivalent of this binary value is 35. Guys, these two values are equal. Okay, It is not that this is different and this is different. Okay, both are equal, but this is the binary representation, this is the decimal representation. That is why we say both are equal. Okay, so from decimal to binary, the ulta opposite of it. Okay, so take a binary decimal number 49 to the base 10. I told you this is a subscript which indicates which type of number we are dealing with. Okay, so 10 indicates that we are dealing with a decimal number. Now, from decimal to binary, okay, from decimal to anything, guys, if you want to convert a decimal number into anything, be it binary, be it hexadecimal, be it octal, or be it any number with base 3, you just have to put the base of the number which you are converting into here. Okay, so we are converting it into binary, so the base of binary is 2. So I'm putting 2 here. Look at what happens. Divide 49 by 2. The quotient is 24. Okay. Again divide 24 by 2. The quotient is, now before that you'll have a remainder, right? When you divide 49 by 2, you'll get 24 as the quotient. The remainder will be 1. Okay. Now divide 24 by 2, you will get the quotient to be 12. Again divide 12 by 2, you will get the quotient to be 6. Okay. Again divide 6 by 2, you will get the quotient to be 3. Again divide 3 by 2, you will get the quotient to be 1. But before that, we look at the remainders also. Okay. So you understand this. Okay. Divide 49 by 2, you will get the quotient to be 24. Okay. The remainder will be 1. Divide 24 by 2, you will get the quotient to be 12. The remainder will be 0. Divide 12 by 2, you will get the quotient to be 6. The remainder will be 0. Divide 6 by 2, you will get the quotient to be 3 and the remainder will be 0. Divide 3 by 2, you will get the quotient to be 1 and the remainder to be 1. Okay. Now it is very easy. You have to go from the bottom. 1 1 0 is the binary representation of this. Okay, 1 1 0 is the binary representation. Again, guys, both these are same numbers. This is decimal representation of it. This is binary representation of it. Okay, they are equal. Okay. Now, octal system. The base or radix here is 8, representing 8 symbols. Guys, base and radix mean the same thing. Okay. So let us see the 8 symbols here. It starts from 0 and ends in 7. Okay. So these are the 8 symbols in a octal system. Okay. So for example, after 7, it is not 8. It is again 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Again 20. So this is how the octal numbers go. Okay. So let us see an octal to decimal system problem. Okay. So this is an octal number. You have to convert it into decimal number. Okay. Now how do you do it? Octal to decimal. Now if you have to convert it into decimal, you just have to find the positional values. Okay. I told you what the positional values, guys. What is the positional value if for octal? How will the positional values be? For binary, the positional values were, okay, let's take decimal. The decimal positional values were like 10 power 0, yes, 10 power 1, 10 power 2. Remember this? These were the positional values. Okay, so maybe I'll go back some slides and show it to you. Here. Yes, so these were the positional values, right? These were the digits. Okay, digits, positional values. Now how did you get the value? You multiply digits and positional values. Okay, you're going to do the same thing here. Okay, what we're going to do here is, you're going to do, now how did I get 8 power 0? I got 8 power 0 because this is an octal. Okay, this is an octal decimal system. So the base is 8. For a decimal system, we use 10 power 0, right? We just saw that 10 power 0, 10 power 1. But for an octal number, it is 8 power 0. Okay, so 8 power 0, this is the positional value, this is the digit. Okay, again 8 power 1 is the positional value, this is the digit. Okay, this should be 4. Okay, there is a mistake here, this is not 6, this is 4. Okay, now 8 power 0 will give you so 8 into 4 is actually 32, right? So 8 into 4, this is again not 48. Okay, there is an error, this is 32. Now 8 power 0 is 1. Okay, so 1 into 6 is 6. So what is 32 plus 36, guys? It is 38. Okay, so here not 48, it is 38. Okay, so there is a mistake here, this is actually 38 to the base 10. Okay, so now again I just want to reiterate the point, both this number and this number are the same, but just two different representations. In an octal you will represent 38 as 46. Okay, so the octal representation of 38 is 46. When we say 38, it is understood it is decimal representation, guys. So when I normally say a number without mentioning anything, what does it mean? It means a decimal representation. So when I say 38, it is 38 to the base 10. So 38 to the base 10 is nothing but 46. Okay, so there is a mistake here, but you understand this, right? Okay, we move on. Now octal to binary. Okay, now octal to binary, guys, you have to understand these numbers. So these are octal values, these are their corresponding binary representations. Okay, so let's take the same number 46 8 to convert it into binary. Okay, so 6, look at 6 here. Okay, look at 6. For 6 we have 110. Okay, so we have 110 here for 6. For 4 it is 100. Okay, so for 4 I have written 100. Okay, then just merge them both. Okay, what will happen? 100, 110, you will get the answer. Okay, so 46 in octal system is 100110 in binary system. Okay, so it is as simple as that, guys. So take 3, so in octal, when I convert octal to binary, you should take 3 digits at a time. Okay, that is how it is done. Okay, for a single octal value you will have 3 digits of binary value. For a single digit of octal 6, you have 3 digits of binary. Okay, for hexadecimal, for a single octal value you will have 4 digits of sorry, for hexadecimal number, this is octal, right? For octal you will have 3, for hexadecimal you will have 4 digits of binary value. Okay, but guys, the reason is very simple, because in octal how many you have, how many digits you have? 8, right? So you can see in octal you have 8 digits. So to represent this 8, you need 2 cube is equal to 8, right? So that is the reason you need 3 bits to represent all the octal values in binary. What is 2 power 4? It is 16, right? So you need 4 bits to represent all the hexadecimal values, guys. If you don't know this, hexadecimal means 16. Deci means 10, hex means 6, hexadecimal means it is 10 plus 6, 16. Okay, so to represent the hexadecimal values, we'll use 4 binary digits. To represent the octal values, we'll use 3 binary digits. So this is an octal value, so we'll use 3 binary digits to represent this. Okay, so now how do you convert binary to octal? Okay, so starting from the least significant bit, divide the given bits into groups of 3. Again, guys, why are we dividing it into groups of 3? Because I told you for one you need 3 bits to represent an octal value. Okay, so that is the reason why we are dividing into groups of 3. We're dividing into groups of 3 starting from the right hand side. So from here, this is one octal value, this is one octal value, this is one octal value. Okay, now see, so that is what I would have represented it. Okay, yes, 001 is a separate thing, 011 is an octal value, 001. Now here we just have one, but we have to make it into a 3-digit number, so I have an extra two zeros to make 1 bit to 3 bits. Okay, so anyway, now it is not going to change the value anyway. Now if you, what is the equivalent octal value of this? It is 1, right? Okay, so I'm just writing here, so it is 1 1 3 1. Okay, so for this binary value, the corresponding octal value is 1131. Okay, again, both these numbers are the same, it is just two different representations. Okay, what if it was a hexadecimal? If what if this number was hexadecimal? They say convert this binary to hexadecimal. What will you do? You should take 4 digits at a time. Okay, so you should take 1001. Okay, then you should take 0101. Okay, take 4 digits at a time, and then you substitute the appropriate hexadecimal values. Okay, it is very simple. Now we'll look at hexadecimal system. Uh, in hexadecimal system, guys, I told you that the base or radix, both base and radix mean the same thing, is 16. Okay, it is 16 because there are 16 symbols starting from 0, it goes on 9, there is no 10. Instead of 10 it is A, so instead of 11 it is B, instead of 12 it is C, instead of 13 it is D, instead of 14 it is E, instead of 15 it is F. So 0 to 15 you have 16 symbols, right guys? So these are the hexadecimal symbols from 0 to F. They are corresponding, you have the corresponding decimal values, corresponding binary values. Okay, so you can have a look at this here. Now decimal to hexadecimal system. Okay, now you're converting decimal to hexadecimal. Guys, I told you, if you have to convert decimal to anything, it is as simple as that. You have to divide it by the number you are converting it into. Okay, or you have to divide it by the base of the number to which you are converting it into. Okay, let us assume 29 to the base 10. Okay, so this says this is a decimal number. Okay, so what will you do? 29 divided by 16. Okay, because you're converting decimal to hexadecimal. If you're converting decimal to binary, you will divide this by 2. If you're converting decimal to octal, you will divide this by 8. If you're converting decimal to hexadecimal, you will divide this number by 16. Okay, so divide this by 16, you will get a quotient of 18, right guys? And divide 18 by 16 again, you will get a quotient of 1. Okay, the thing is, but the thing we are interested in is the remainders. Okay, so 291 divided by 16, you will get 18 as the quotient, but the remainder is 3. 18 divided by 16, you will get 1 as the quotient, but the remainder is 2. Okay, so once we get 1, you can stop there. Okay, now the hexadecimal representation is nothing but 1 2 3. Okay, that's it. So 291 per 10 is the same as 123 per 16. Both these are the same values. Okay, but in different systems you get different numbers to represent it. Okay, now what we are going to do is, this is still 291 written in a different way. Okay, so that is what it is saying. Okay, now we'll do hexadecimal to decimal, the ulta opposite of that. Okay, so we're going to take the same number. Okay guys, 123, so that you know what the answer is. What is the answer that you must get? You must get 291. Yes, the previous slide we saw that the 291, which was a decimal number, had an equivalent hexadecimal number of 123. So if we convert 123, we should get a decimal number of what? We should get a decimal of 291, right? Let's see if we are getting it. Okay, and anything, if you're converting into decimal, guys, remember what should you do? 10 power 0, 8 power 0, remember that? Yes, similarly here 16 power 0. Okay, because here we must take the positional values and the digit and multiply it. So while taking positional value, because this is a hexadecimal number, the base will be 16. Okay, 16 power 0 is the positional value. Okay, and the corresponding digit is 3. 16 power 1 is the positional value and the corresponding digit is 2. 16 square is the positional value and the corresponding digit is 1. So you multiply them guys, you will get this, and 291 will be your answer. Okay. So we come to the final part. It is a converting decimal fractions to binary. You know how to convert decimal to binary, but how do you convert decimal fractions to binary? Okay. For example, if we have a fractional part which is 0.375 in the by decimal number given. Okay, guys, this is not 2. Okay, this is 10. Okay, this is a decimal number. Okay, this is not 2, this is 10. Okay, now take the integral part. The integral part is 28, right? So what do you do? How do you convert it to binary? It is normal procedure. Okay, any decimal number you convert it into any other number by dividing it by that particular number's base. So divided by 2, you'll get 14. Divided by 2 again, you will get 7. Okay, the remainders also you can check it out. Right? We have this. So this is 11100. Okay, 11100 is the binary equivalent of 28. Okay, but still we are yet to find the binary equivalent of 0.375. Let's see how to find the fractional part, binary equivalent of the fractional part. Our fractional part is 0.375, right, guys? See, here we'll divide by 2, right? But here we'll multiply by 2 because it is fractional part. We'll multiply by 2. If you multiply it by 2, you'll get 0.75, right, guys? So now just consider this 0, okay, but don't do anything with it. Just take this 0.75 and multiply it by 2 again, okay. What will you get? 1.5. Now ignore this 1, take this 0.5 and again multiply it by 2. What do you get? You get 1. Now at this point there is no use in continuing this, because if you take 0.00 and multiply it by 2, what will you get? You will get 0, right? So at this point you can stop. Now I told you to ignore 0, 1, 1, 1, right? I asked you to ignore so that we will concentrate on that later, okay? But right now it is time to concentrate on that, okay? Now you look at 0, 1, 1. Usually when you take you take the remainders to construct the binary number, you will start from the bottom, right? But here you should start from the top. Okay, so 0, 1, 1 is the binary equivalent of 0.375. It's as simple as that, guys. So 0.011, sorry, it is not 0, 1, 1, it is 0.011. Okay, so this is the binary equivalent of the fractional part. This is the binary equivalent of the integral part. Okay, so add them both, you will get this to be a binary value. So we come to the last slide. So how to convert hexadecimal fractions to decimal? Okay, so this is a hexadecimal fraction because you have a point here. Okay, you have values after decimal. Now how do you convert that? Converting hexadecimal fractions to decimal. Any time you convert something to decimal, you have to use the positional value into digit combination. Okay, here the positional values will be 16 power 0, 16 power 1, 16 power 2, right, guys? So you can see, yes. Now the only thing that you should be careful about is 16 power 0 is for the value which is to the left hand side of the point. 16 power 1 is again to the left hand side of the point. Okay, but what is the positional value of the digit which is to the right hand side of the point, this B? Okay, to the right hand side of the point. Okay, again if we look at this, yeah, look at this here, to the right hand side of the point, the positional value is, guys, -1, -2, -3, like that. Okay, so when it comes to the right hand side, it will be -2. Okay, then -1. Okay, so this is -1, this is -2, and it will go on like that. Okay, so you can see if I put 1 here, so what is this 11? Instead of B I put 11. Okay, so you know B in hexadecimal, B the decimal value equivalent is 11, right? Again for F I put 15, for E I put 14. Okay, so these are all decimal equivalents of hexadecimal. Okay, for 1 it is 1 only, right? Hexadecimal 1 is the same as decimal 1. Okay, now guys, it is time to multiply. Okay, you multiply it, you get these values. Okay, add them all, you will get these values. Okay, so finally you arrive at this value. Okay, so that's it guys, and I'll see you in another video.